Well, welcome everybody. It's time for us to look to a new week. It's another one of those strange weeks where the racing schedule's a bit topsy-turvy. We race in Cape Town on Monday, which is good news for me because I get to talk to Ravon, who's just brought me up to date about the fires in Cape Town. You were telling me Rose Memorial heading to UCT sounds dramatic, so we wish everybody the best in containing that.
Yeah, fingers crossed that they're going to be able to bring this fire under control, but at the moment, it's a runaway fire. I mean, parts of Rose Memorial has been destroyed. The tea garden has been destroyed. The vegetation all the way around the mountain. And they've even evacuated UCT now. And it looks like it may be reaching the middle campus of UCT. So fingers crossed that, this wind doesn't pick up and that weather conditions actually cool down and that they've called everybody in as far as service rescue is concerned to come and assist.
All I can say is the last time they evacuated UCT was because I was a student there and they said the marks have got so low they need to evacuate. That was back in the early 1980s. I think I was at UCT from 83 to a while. But yeah. But anyway, maybe this card we have to play tight because it's not big fields, but I thought competitive racing. But again, I didn't see too many spooks, Ravon, and you likewise think it should behave.
It should behave. I mean, last week, for example, I think there was one race that I read completely wrong where I thought I was not going to go for the top weights, the two females. I was rather going to go for the 3-year-olds. And I think that was the only race that I got horribly wrong because of the way I assessed. I thought, up-and-coming 3-year-olds should have the measure of the older fillies. But other than that, it ran complete to 4. And as you know, I'm one of those people that believe in the form book in Cape Town, and the form book has been holding up well. And I think as a result of that, we can pretty much stick to some of these short price favorites at the beginning of the day with a bit of confidence.
I agree with you. Just to remind folks that we are recording this on Sunday afternoon because there's a couple of football matches and some racing to come and so forth and some golf. So we're doing it quite early on Sunday afternoon. But there is one scratching at this stage, which is race 4, number 2, area 51. That's the only scratching at the time Ravon and I are broadcasting, but that might change. Race 1, number 8, Alamites front on, unshot behind. That's Reign of Peace in the first. And I think those are the only changes. Let me just check if we've got any. Yeah, that's it. There's a color change, but I won't worry you with that. Yeah, I won't worry you with that. Okay, so let's get straight into the racing then, shall we, Ravon? Race 1, because it's a 8-race program, race 1 will be the first leg of the bipot. What did you make of race 1?
Banker. Number 4, Homely Girl. I've looked at this race. There's a number of first-timers, but if one looks at her form, and I think I just checked the betting as I had time, prior to you coming and joining me on the meeting, that Homely Girl is in fact down to 9 to 10. She, of course, ran in that Bloodstock South Africa Cape Yearling Sales Cup on Derby Day. If one looks at that form line, particularly dead in the middle of that last run, 17 to 20 down to 9 to 2. So this horse was certainly fancied on that occasion. And you'll see there on the right-hand side, it also says restless, was hanging out, was shifting. There has been one winner that has come out of that form line, and that's the 8th place runner, Kayleen. She subsequently come and won. The 2 horses that finished in 2nd and 3rd, just ahead of her in that run behind Monia, were Veronique and Jet for Time. They've subsequently run 3rd and 2nd, respectively. So in terms of that particular form line, I think she's certainly dropping a little bit back in class. She's now back in maiden company. That was a bit of a minor feature. So back in maiden company over 1,000 meters, I think she's going to take a power of beating, and I'm not even going to look beyond her. I think Team Snaith and Richard Free will get the day underway at Kenilworth.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's good enough for the bipot. I mean, number 7, Nippy Winter, looked like a natural opponent, but she was held by her on the initial meeting between them when she ran 4th to Super Syria. And, I don't think there's going to be enough improvement from the one to get past the other. So I'm in agreement with you there. Now, race 2, which is going to be the first leg of the place accumulator. And here again, it looks fairly straightforward. Do you see anything beyond the 7 and the 9?
I am only in the camp of persistence. 9, Silver Falcon, first timer from the stable of Justin Snaith, Richard Free. I see it cost 900,000 Rand. as a yearling. He's out of that top race mare, Lana Falcon, herself an 8-time winner from 1,000 to 1,600. So starting off at 1,000 meters, I think as time goes by and Silver Falcon goes over a little bit more ground, I think that's when you can probably follow him with confidence. But as far as I'm concerned, Persistence to me stands out. And I'm not even going to look at the last run when Persistence ran second behind Masked Vigilante. That was in that Cloud of Play graduations race. I'm going to look at the first run. Now, as you can see, Masked Vigilante had come out and won. And obviously, Persistence was gallant in defeat because he went to the front in that particular race. But what is interesting about that form line is the fact that earlier on the Sunday afternoon, in the second race, a horse called Darjeeling had come out and franked that form line. And last week, in the first race, a horse called Ravensthorpe won with consummate ease. So that is turning out to be a very, very strong form line, and particularly the run behind Masked Vigilante next time out, when Persistence went to the front and Masked Vigilante actually had to come past him to come and win the race. I think if Persistence is going to be anywhere near that kind of form, it's going to be very, very tough to beat him. And if one looks at the trainer-jockey combination, it is Grant van Eekkerk for Mike Stewart, and you'll see there, jockey-trainer, only 3 times the two of them have teamed up for a second and a third. And in fact, there's another one later on in the day that Grant van Eekkerk will be running for Mike Stewart in those same colors as well. So I think both of them certainly needs to be taken into account, but I'm not looking beyond Persistence in a second.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you there. 7 from 9, I don't see any spooks at all there, and Persistence got the pedigree and the form and a lot of things going for it. Now, race 3 is where we go to next. It'll be the third leg of the bipot, second leg of the PA, first leg of the Pick 6. Now, you probably know the story. Certainly, those people who are regular viewers, yeah. This could well have been our first horse, the Benmag Syndicate. But at the time, I think it was my quadruple bypass, so I wasn't quite recovering. I didn't have the admin intact, but I was very keen to get hold of Vita Futura at the sales. And good luck to the owners, the Langevins, who now own him. And he ran a cracking debut because the story doesn't say exactly what happened in the race, because Craig Zaki was quite wide turning for him from that poor draw. So it was a tremendous debut. But he steps up to 1,400. What did you think?
To me, there's only one horse I think that could possibly beat him, purely on the strength of the form line that he comes out of, and that's number 2, Forever Bull. It was green on debut. He should have been a little bit more closer. That is again bringing that maiden Masked Vigilante form into account that I spoke about for making the case for Persistence. As I mentioned, that form line has now been franked 3 times. So to me, that could possibly be the only horse I think that could beat him. But furthermore, as far as PAs is concerned, it's Banker Vita Futura as far as I'm concerned. With a natural improvement, as you said, there were excuses last time out. Now going over a little bit further, if he handles the bend without without being green or coming under any sort of pressure around the bend, he will be doing his best work later. And to me, Vita Futura stands out in the third. So thus far, we're looking at Banker in the first 3 races on the card.
Look what I found.
Futura.
Yeah.
There we go. That's an omen.
It wasn't a prop. It was just sitting here, and it suddenly dawned on me I've got a Futura hat, which I got at the sales. So I didn't buy. I should actually have a Gimme the Green Light hat, because we've only bought Gimme the Green Lights. We bought 3 of them. But this horse I did try to buy, and there's that video of me looking at him and Graham Hawkins and all of us chatting about him. If you go back, you'll find it on our Clocking the Gallop, and it's called Meeting Vita Futura, I think, or something like that, or Chasing the Futura. I actually think he might be vulnerable tomorrow to an improver. So I'm interested that you like number 2, Forever Bill. I think that could be an improver. I also thought that Snaith's other horse, Pomp and Power, could run well, because that Jewel of Doha form's not bad. So yeah, I'm not going to be. I'm going to go put Vita Futura, but I'm not necessarily going to banker him like you. I might just pop 1 or 2 in with him. But
well, we got 3 bankers in the first 3 legs of the bipod and 2 bankers in the first leg of the PA.
Yeah.
So at this point in time, now we can afford to sort of look for something more to come, which unfortunately I think is going to happen in race 4.
Okay.
Because if one looks at the 4th race, which is a maiden juvenile plate for fillies over 1,400 meters, I have marked all of 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10. Because, you know, these maiden juvenile races, these horses tend to improve at different intervals and they mature at different intervals, and they're going 1,400, some of them, for the very first time. So I'm going to start with Global Goddess, and I was interested to hear one of the part owners' comments, and he said to me, you know what, we're still baffled, 2 runs back, how he got beat on the line that day. Last time out, he also Global Goddess ran also in that Farmer Play graduation sales race. So that is also something that needs to be taken into account. She has been looking for this sort of trip. I think there's more to come. Anthony Andrews, but the one thing they did say, the draw is against them from 10. If one turns the page, number 4, Impressive Queen, that to me is my narrow first choice. You know, to me, she's got the best come on look in terms of the form. The stable's in form. We spoke about Pete Boert, I think it was 2 meetings back. End result, after us discussing Pete Boert, he had 2 winners on the day, and I think this horse has got a lot going for her. She was placed in the Grade 3 fillies nursery last time out. I think she'll enjoy the step up in trip going 1,400 meters. She looks progressive. If one takes that form line of the fillies nursery into account, 2 winners have come out of that. The 3rd place, Super Seria, and the 5th place, Live My Life, one in Scottsville. So those 2 have come out in one. And if one takes the run prior to that, where she ran 3rd behind Danilo Danilovic, the horse that finished just ahead of on that day, was a horse called Safe Return. And we know how Safe Return won the maiden next time out. So to me, Impressive Queen is my narrow first choice. I also think she represents a bit of value at 13-2. Karen Blixen has to be included. Another one that comes out of that Mars Vigilante form line. Another one that I think will be looking to improve over the 1,400 trip. Maria Corral took on the boys last time out. 2 good runs over 1,000. If she can handle the turn, I think the natural improvement is to come. So to Fedra, number 9, was slow on debut and finished well. I think if she goes up handy with Grant van Niekerk, and this is the other one I was talking about when we discussed Persistent, the other one that Grant van Niekerk is running for Mike Stewart, and also Paul Barrett, who is an extremely lucky owner. I think there's more to come from her. And Temple Bar is the other one I'm also going to include. The 2nd place runner in that form line that Temple Bar comes out of, you know, who has subsequently come out and won. That was vast improvement, one run to the next. I think there's more to come. So this is a maiden juvenile race. It looks highly competitive. I think this is probably one of the stronger races that we've seen for Tyrrells thus far this season. And I'm not taking any chances. I'm going to load.
Okay, Ravon loading there, and I think that is good advice. So that's my first half of the computer form. I always have to staple them in 2 halves. So that's the first half gone. We move on to race 5. And
because you do it back to front.
Yeah, I normally go, you're right. I staple them.
Yeah, you normally study the card back to front.
Yeah. And then, you know, if I have a bad day, the horses run back to front as well. Race 5, Ravon. Just 8 horses going to the post here. And what did you make of this? Because Adbury Lake has been pretty consistent. Is she ready to win?
I think she is, but I am of the opinion that we'll have to include 1, 2, and 3. And I'll justify why I say we got to include that. Adbury Lake, as you say, has had 4 runs for 2 seconds and 2/3, has got that come on look, will enjoy the 1,600 meters that she'll be going over. She certainly must be included. Craig Zaki for Paul Reeves, and that stable has also been doing exceptionally well. Yes, she does look ready to win, but if one looks at the other 2, number 2, What's in a Dream, was second in her last start over the course and distance. She was absolutely flying at the finish. She was a clear second on that day. I make her a big runner if she repeats that performance. Love Note, on the other hand, is a very interesting runner. And the reason why I say we've got to include all 3 is that if one looks at Love Note's last run, where she ran over 1,800 meters, that was at Durbanville. She finished second to a horse called Swazi Queen when she was beaten second in a maiden. What happened Friday afternoon? Swazi Queen came out and won the East Cape Oaks. The 3rd place horse in that race was a horse called Rose Princess. She's also subsequently come out and won. So she comes back to 1600, and purely on the strength of that last run, I think she cannot be ignored and she must be included. That is why I think I'm going to play for a bit of cover here, even though Atterbury Lake does look ready to win. I'm going to add in 2 and 3 as well.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you again, Ravon. In fact, number 3 is my first choice, Love Note, because of that form being franked and Richard Free and Snaith and drawn 2. A lot of positives there, so she would be my first choice. Let's move on to the 6th race. This is now in the middle of the card, but it's a maiden plate. 9 horses going to post there, and not so straightforward, or is it? Because Son of Silk, gelded, improved, and it's your friend Grant van Niekerk who is still riding at the top of his game. Is he your first choice?
All I wrote at the bottom here, boat race 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
Lord Marmite, 2 Son of Silk, that's the 2 horses I'm going to put in. If one looks at Lord Marmite, jumps from barrier position 2, Grant Burr, who rode him last time out, was clear second best on that occasion, was actually running on, but tired that last little bit. The 3rd place horse, Happy Aristocrat, has subsequently come out and won. And also ran 6 that there was also called Freedom Park, who I think was last week or the week before, came out and ran 2nd. So Lord Marmite, to me, if there is a danger to Son of Silk, who's having his 2nd run after gelding, and who was caught on the line last time out over the course and distance. I mean, he hit the front, he was traveling like a winner, and then just got clipped on the post and run out of it in the closing stages. So to me, those 2 certainly stand out in terms of the runners in this race. 3 is held by number 2, Son of Silk. 4, I said, is held by number 1. What's the Shells Camelot comes back from PE. 6 is held by 1 and by 2 and 9. 7 is held by 2 and 6. So yeah, pure boat race for me. 1 and 2. I think that's all we need.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to add in 1 more, only 1 more, which is going to change your perm a little bit. But I think number 4, a Linger Longer, could be a bit of a runner. And he hasn't run a place yet, this horse, but he has been getting better. And I see that Greg Sheen's back on and he's drawn 1. I've liked the way he's been running on over the mile, and he hasn't exactly cracked a draw yet. Well, earlier on when he was not finding his way with the apprentice on board, but the last 2 he's drawn poorly. So I just think a Linger Longer I might go in. Listen, I'm sure you'll be fine with 1 and 2, but just for the record books, I'm going to throw in.
And when I looked at the form, all that I wrote at the bottom of him was he's held by number 1 on form. So you can add him in. To me, I'm just putting in the 2.
Okay, Ravon going 1 and 2. I'm going, certainly for my jackpots and stuff, I'm going to put that in. Right, next race, another smallish field, Ravon. This is a maiden plate again. This is race 7 over 1,000. And this time only 8 runners go to post. There has been money for Princess Santo, who opened up at 18 to 10, now 15 to 10. And as a result, no real money for anything else. Although number 2, Wordsworth, I don't know what happened last time. He ran no kind of race. He almost compounded. Maybe the 1,200 was too far for him. I don't know. Although he's run over that distance before. But what are you doing in race 7?
I've actually narrowed down to 3 runners. Yes, I am going to include Princess Santo. I'll get to in a moment. I'm including 1 Royal Flush and 3 Life on Mars as well. I'll start with Royal Flush, who's having his 2nd run since being gelded. As you can see, he was running on very nicely to finish 2nd last time out. Behind that runaway winner, that was on Queen's Plate Day, where Emperor's Decree won the Work Riders race by 9 lengths. So Royal Flush was clearly 2nd best. And I think from pole position, with a stable jockey on board for Richard Free for Justin Snape, I think definitely going to be one of those that one needs to take into account. I think he's got a big chance if he is fitted well. He last ran in January, we know what, in April, but I think that one would have certainly brought him on. 3 Life on Mars to me is a definite inclusion as well. There was good improvement when going to the front last time out. That was over 1,200 meters. I think going to the front over 1,000 meters certainly would be one of those cases where he may be hard to pick back if he gets away from them. He's also having his 3rd run since being gelded, so many people would say he'll be cherry ripe for the occasion. So 3 Life on Mars definitely must go in. And then, of course, the filly, Princess Santo. She's had 2 good seconds last time out of the last 2 runs. In fact, if one looks at her form, I think it's the blinkers has done the trick. And also, since Louis Courtois has gotten on board, she's finished second and second. She's not taking on the boys, but I think she could be a force to be reckoned with. Hence the reason I'm not going to leave her out. There has been money for her. She comes from a smaller stable, and obviously, smaller stables tend to give them that extra personal touch, so they know when they're ready. So I'm not going to take any chances by not including her. So 1, 3, and 7 for me in that race.
Okay, 1, 3, and 7 for Ravon in the 7th, which leads us on to the maiden plate fillies and mares, 1,000 meters. And this is a trappy way to end. I wonder if you've gone a little bit wider here. What do you think?
I have. I've included 4 horses in the last leg. Not to go out of anything, and one hopes, fingers crossed, that if you are running up to this point with the 4 horses, the chances of doubling up are even better. I think number 1, Adira, to me, could be a horse that represents a bit of value in this race. Greg Cheen has only ridden this horse once. Now, if you look at the form line, that was in the penultimate run. The result, finished 3rd and was beaten by Unknowns. He was running on strongly and challenging. I know he drops back to 1,000, but a repeat of that penultimate run with Greg Cheen now back in the saddle at 8 to 1, I think represents some very, very nice value. 2 After the Storm was also one of those horses that has been improving nicely in the last couple of starts. The earmuffs seemed to have done the trick last time out when finishing much closer, and that was over the course and distance. And a repeat of that run, I think, brings After the Storm right into the equation. The other one I've included is number 4, Alloway Grove. Now, always there or thereabout, and in fact, if one looks at the form, ever since Oswald Noach has put a leg over, she's not missed the frame. In fact, this is one of those ultra-consistent fillies that constantly finds the frame. This is not the strongest of fields either, if one sort of look at them, like you said, bit of a trappy affair to end the day. So she wouldn't be out of turn winning either. And then, of course, the Army Jean, who I see is priced up at about 3 to 1. So they're betting 3 to 1 the field here. Ran in a work riders race on debut, was slow, was one-paced, and with all sorts of excuses. That one certainly would have brought her on. And I think with a natural improvement, one can expect more. So she's definitely one to include. So I'm including all of 1, 2, 4, and 7 in the last race on the card.
So for me, I like all of the horses you mentioned, but I'm hoping to get to the last leg of the pick 6, and I'm hoping when I get there to have field. Now, it sounds like quite an extreme way to play, but in the pick 6, you don't need the 2 first timers, so you don't need 8 and 10. So it actually is cheaper than you think, because I just don't like it, as you say. I think I'd rather be safe and make sure I come through the last leg. But the bottom line, Ravon, is the bankers come early on in the card, right?
Yes. So you'll know your face early. In fact, I was chatting to somebody earlier and just chatting about these 3 short price favorites at the beginning of the day. And very shrewdly, he took it all to come. We included the horse in the second race at Scottsville today. So he got like 14, 16 to 1 for the all to come. So the first leg is in, and the 3 short price favorites to come tomorrow. So maybe that's the way to play. Look at taking doubles, trebles, or whatever with the 3 short price favorites at the beginning of the day, and then finding a bit of value, maybe places, and that sort of late on in the afternoon. But I think it does sort of, as you may have noticed, the way I've sort of assessed things, our fate will come early as far as the bankers are concerned. But later on in the day, it does become very, very tricky, especially that maiden juvenile race that certainly looks very strong and extremely competitive midway through the program. And I think that probably could be the sway as to how well or how little things are going to pay. You could get favorite, in which case you're going to get a very minimal path, but you could get some kind of result in that race and also later on in the day. So it's one of those cards where the form book is either going to hold up, or as I've sort of looked at it, try and beat certain things in the form book. And if it does work out, there's a bit of value to be had and a bit of money to be made.
Ravon, are you on duty tomorrow? Are you commentating, or is Jahan back from his many days? I saw him every day at the National Yearling Sales. Or are you back at Durbanville tomorrow? I mean, at Kenilworth.
No. He's got to come back, and he's got to come straight to work. He's done the roster, so he's put himself back straight on. So good luck to him if he thinks he's going to try duck and dive tomorrow. In fact, I think he's on for the next 2 or 3 meetings in a row. No, I lie. Philip is on next Saturday, and then he's on the first 2 meetings in May. So it's actually going to be about 2 or 3 weeks before I'm back in the hot seat again.
Okay.
I mean, I took care of things while he was away. So it's by the time he comes back and does some work.
Well, he was working, I can assure you. I saw him working hard, and I think he bought a lot of horses, as he always does. So he was very busy there for all his clients, which include us, as you know. He's buying for the Ben Mag Syndicate and doing a good job. So we thank him for that. But Vaughan, I know you're never too far away from a computer form and studying. So thanks very much for your opinion for tomorrow, and break a leg with your selections.
Only a pleasure. Look forward to it.